Hi guys! If you know how to create your own custom functions in Power Query, you can become far more effective when it comes to bringing in and cleaning up your data. In this video, I'll show you how, so stay tuned. So let's start off by a rather basic scenario. I have a query and this query contains some values and all I need to do is just divide these numbers by 2. The thing though is, I don't only have to do that for this query, I got to do that for many queries in my model. The best way to approach that is to add a function to your model. The way to add a function to your model is by adding a new blank query. So we're going to start off by doing just that. Add a new blank query. Okay. And then in that blank query, we need to go into our advanced editor. So in the advanced editor, we're going to remove the code that's already there. So we start off by assigning a parameter, and we do that by assigning a parameter within parentheses. So I'm going to start off, and so all I do is just add a parameter being x. So then we do equals more, saying, okay, now I want to specify how I want to have that parameter used in a formula. So we're going to say that x, I want to add 1 to it. That is my formula. Okay, so this is how I've added a custom function to Power Query. So hit that done button. Here we go. Here's my formula. So x, that is the parameter, and then the formula will be x plus 1. So we can try to invoke it. So if I were to add 1 or 2, right? So now if I invoke this formula, I would expect that the result is 3, which of course it is. Okay. Remove that invoked function, and I'm going to delete this now. So this is how I've added a custom function to my model. So here now, if I just want to apply that formula here to this query, what I'm going to do is go into my add column menu, and under add column, I'm going to hit that button called invoke custom function. Well, let me first make sure it has a name. So let me say add 1. So that is the name of my formula now. So what I'm going to do is invoke a custom function. It's only going to be 1. Formula's got add 1. So let's just use that formula. Here now we need to specify the x, which column should be that x, that variable that we created. Obviously this should not be our category, but it should be our value. So now let me hit that OK button and then see what we got. And indeed, this is how we've managed to invoke that function here within this query. So let's have a look at a second scenario where you might want to use custom functions. Say you want to connect to an Excel spreadsheet, and after you did, this is the way your query looks like. So what you need to do is clean this data up a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want to remove the top 2 rows. So let's start off by doing that. Remove top rows. Then we need to remove the top 2. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So remove the top 2 rows. Next, what we want to do is promote that first row to be the column headers. Okay. So use first row as headers. And then next, say for our business purposes, all we need is the average of the values in this value column. So let me go ahead, select it, go into the transform menu, go into statistics, and just select the button average. There we go. And finally, say for our business purposes, we need to divide this result by the number to divide by query. So this is the result of another query, right? Another query, which is here, number to divide by. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add an additional step and take the previous step, which is called calculated average, right? That is the name of the previous step, and divide that by that query called number to divide by. Okay, so this is the result that we were after. However, we did not only, this is the one I mean, we did not only want to have the result for this one Excel workbook, we want to do this for all of the workbooks in that folder. How do we do that? So we need to start off by converting that query into a function. Okay, that will be our first step that we have to do. So let me go into the. Oh, there's an easy way to do that, and that is by right-clicking this and then go into that create function. Just hit that button, create function. But I want to show you what happens below the hood, so I'm going to do this manually. So I'm going to go into the advanced editor. So here we get to see all of the code of the entire query. Now what I always highly recommend that you do is make sure that you format your code. So let me go into the powerqueryformatter.com. So let me paste that M code. And then we're going to format it. And then we're going to copy this code. Okay, and then we're going to bring this back to the advanced editor. So paste that here. Okay, so what we're going to do is to convert this into a function. So a function, again, what we need to start off by is enter the parameter. So that's going to be a, well, it's going to be an Excellence workbook, right? So that's what I'm going to call it. And so we have to make sure that we also use that symbol that we need to use in order to convert this into a function. So equals larger than. And now let's also replace this part here, that workbook 1.xlsx, by the parameter. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. We have to replace this part by our parameter. So let's go ahead and do that. Enter that sign that we need for adding a piece of text string to here, and it's going to be our Excellence workbook. And there you go. Okay, so now we've replaced this by the parameter, and now this should work. Okay, so now as you can tell, this has been converted into a function. We need to have an overview of all the files in the folder. So the easy way to do that is just to connect to a folder. So we're going to go to a new source, more, and then we're simply going to connect a folder. And then we need to enter the location of the folder. Still in my, oh, not anymore. It was in my clipboard. Of course, it cannot be in my clipboard anymore. Let me just go onto my other screen, get the location of the folder and paste it in here. There we go. So all we need is the names of the files. So we need to transform the data and simply remove everything but this column containing the names of the files. So we're going to remove the other columns. And next, now that we have the names of all of the files in the folder, we're going to go ahead and in the add column menu, invoke the custom function. Okay. I did not call it anything more useful than sheet 1. I could have, but just leave it like this. Indeed, the workbook is name, which is correct, right? That is the name that we see here. So if I were to hit enter, there you go. Now we've managed to apply the logic we just created for that one spreadsheet to all of the spreadsheets in the folder.
Did you like this video? Then like this video. Thanks for watching.